All right, and now we get into the really fun stuff. Zack Ryder comes out waving an American flag like a mark, and he is getting ready to cut a promo, but he gets cut off by what sounds to me like video game music.
Yes, and it turns out to be the ravishing Russian Lana, aka James's 33rd wife or something like that. I don't know. I
It's
lost count on talk with him.
it's either video game music or the music of a female Disney villain.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty apt description when I hear that music. Nicely done.
Yeah,
But
I feel like Ursula from The Little Mermaid is going to start sneaking out of the ring or something.
oh man, that'd be great. Just drag Zack Ryder down to Davy Jones' locker. Uh, but yeah, Lana comes out, pretty much espouses more of Russia's positives. Puts over Vladimir Putin.
Because Americans are too boring and they stick to the past.
And
You need
then
to be
she,
forward thinking.
like Mother Russia, but
Vladimir Putin.
but then she introduces Rusev, and it's no secret that there is nothing better to me, especially on a holiday, than seeing Zack Ryder tormented. And I'm not gonna lie, this was absolutely scrumptious.
This
Just,
might have been the quickest Rusev match on the main roster yet.
yeah. I mean, he just mowed Zack Ryder down, and then when he looked like he was out, Rusev just stomped him good in the spine, locked in the accolade, and faster than you can say JR's barbecue sauce, Zack Ryder was tapping out. Absolutely delicious.
But Rusev does keep the hold locked in for a little longer than certain people would like to see. So Big E decides that he wants to do something about it, and he comes out and attacks Rusev.
I am so glad you phrased it as certain people because I'm certainly not one of them. But yes, Big E comes out. It's the battle of the first name performers. They go at it. It looks like Rusev is going to dominate Big E yet again, but Big E asserts himself, comes out with a clothesline in the corner, sends Rusev back. And, whenever this match takes place, I'm looking forward to it. It gives Big E something to do, and it's a more credible performer for Rusev to inevitably raise his stock. So I think everybody comes away a winner here for me.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really glad they dropped the Alexander because nobody would have gotten behind Rusev Alexander.
Yeah, really. Just
That
awful.
did not land for you at all, did it?
No.
You said the battle of the first name performers.
Yeah.
What's Rusev's first name, John?
I see what you did there. Nice.
Wow, that was really bad. All right, so up next we had our tag team match: Orton and Batista versus Dust.
I thought we agreed that we were just gonna keep calling them the Rhodes Brothers. Are you bringing it back?
Dust, Cody Rhodes, whatever. I don't care.
He's like, I'll call them whatever I want as long as they're addressed.
Everyone knows who we're talking about. It's not like I'm going to say Dust or Goldie Rhodes and people are going to be like freaking Tim the Toolman Taylor, not knowing what we're talking about.
Oh my god, the references in tonight's episode. Glorious. That show was so awful.
It was. It really was.
It's a shame that it got overbooked towards the end because really it was a solid tag match, especially when Cody Rhodes got involved. I even messaged you that, Cody Rhodes' hot tag, he is just so fantastic with the offense. I mean, it just comes off so crisp, so perfect. We've called him like the next Christian, really, with how perfect it is. But that wasn't enough. Cody does eat the pin here, which leaves Goldust to fend for himself with the no-holds-barred match. Goldust maybe gets like 3 right hands to Orton before they absolutely beat him down. He eats both an RKO and a Batista bomb. Batista and Randy Orton win it.
Yep. No surprise here. Just kind of weird the way they overbooked this. Like, I understand that they were trying to make it seem like the Authority was stacking the odds against the Rhodes brothers, but I still feel like it just got too convoluted.
Well, it got too convoluted, and I don't think it did anything to progress the narrative within the Rhodes brothers of Cody potentially getting frustrated. I feel
Honestly,
like,
dude, I think my biggest problem with this is that it was a no holds barred match, and Cody didn't actually participate because he wouldn't have gotten his brother disqualified, but he just kind of stood back.
yeah, and maybe they'll actually bring that up, like with app exclusives or something. Maybe your gripe will actually become a plot point. I mean, I doubt it, but I think it'd be pretty clever for Goldust just to be like, it was no holds barred. You could have legally been out there and given me a fighting chance. Then Cody rather could just blow Goldust off and go about his business. That would actually be a clever way to continue that narrative, but I don't think they'll utilize it.
Yeah, neither do I. So up next, we had our Bo Dallas Raw debut.
It was glorious. It was
Dude, this was
inspirational.
so much better than the SmackDown debut.
Yeah, I completely agree. He seemed to get a nice reaction from the crowd, and by that, I mean I actually did hear some cheers, genuinely, but I also did hear some boos. A huge sign of confidence for me because I know you said you wanted to see that at the SmackDown taping. I saw at least one, and there may have been more, but I did see at least one Bo leave sign, so that was cool. Hopefully, it's the first of many. As far as the match goes, great match. Sin Cara got more offense, which I think in the long run made Bo seem more resilient. He did his victory lap before getting the victory. He did it after a successful arm drag, which I thought was cool. He even high-fived a fan. And that's when it kind of clicked that what Bo Dallas is kind of doing on the main roster with these antics, it's almost like Jarrah trolling, except I think you can really tell that he's a heel, of course, rather than Jericho, where you're really not sure where they're going with it. So I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I really liked this. The celebrations, as excessive as they were, that fits right into his character. To me, the two things that made this better than the SmackDown debut were actually three. I forgot about one. The first one that I actually forgot about was he hits a move on Sin Cara and then he yells, "Did you see that?" So hilarious. And then a second time he does something good, and then he gets out of the ring and he starts celebrating with the fans and high fiving people, which is also hilarious. And then the third big thing was after the match, he cut his promo and then he hugs Sin Cara.
That was great because the hug I felt like was much better than him shaking his hand and talking to him because again, like I said, there's really a void of body language on Sin Cara's part. But even with a hug, like you saw Sin Cara like gesture with his arms like what the heck?
Yeah.
And to me like that was sufficient. So I like that. It's just so great. I feel like what I love about this, right, is like whenever anybody interacts with their opponent after the match, if you're a babyface, normally it's just a handshake, but when you're a heel, it's normally some kind of beatdown. The fact that Bo has found a non-violent way to garner heat and to just like indirectly mock his opponent through this way, that's normally a gesture of good sportsmanship or friendship, I just think is brilliant. So I really love it.
Yep. All right. Are you ready to move on?
Absolutely.
Stephanie McMahon, Daniel Bryan, title decision. I'm going to sum this up because this was a solid 15-minute segment. I'm going to sum this up in 30 seconds.
Okay, go.
Stephanie wants Daniel Bryan to surrender the title. Daniel Bryan doesn't want to, but only because he realizes that if he does, it'll reverse all the progress that he's made against Stephanie. Stephanie threatens that if he doesn't give up the title, she's going to fire Brie. End of story. We're going to find out on Payback.
Let's move on.
Seriously?
No, you covered it, dude. Like you killed it. You said 30 seconds. I think you went under that. I felt like it was a great promo from Bryan. Stephanie's genius at garnering heat. I think the involvement of Brie is a nice touch because it shows that she has consequences for her husband. And we'll probably even see her presence at Payback. It builds intrigue for all the summer pay-per-views going forward. I felt like they handled this masterfully. Nothing more to be said than that.
All right, so here's my question.
Yeah.
How's Bryan going to get out of this?
I have an idea, but I think you'd laugh at me if I said it because it's really absurd.
Just say it.
Um,
Just say it. I don't care.
just say it. I think Brie is going to come to Bryan's defense and offer to maybe fight Stephanie or some other diva for his right to keep the championship or something. Because she got him in this liability situation, I think she's going to get physically involved in a way that would allow him to keep his championship somehow. And I've thought that for quite a while now, to be honest.
Dude, if
'Cause
we get Brie versus Stephanie in a legit match, oh my god.
And see, dude, like that's what in all honesty, folks, I've been thinking this for weeks, but I never wanted to vocalize it because you know when I think something is ridiculous that I must think it's bad. Because I thought the route they'd go is, oh my goodness, they're gonna have Brie defend the championship on Bryan's behalf against Stephanie, and that's how they're going to do it. I don't think that's going to happen for the record, but that's the only way I can see him really being able to keep it is if Brie makes some kind of voluntary decision in some regard. Maybe not even in a match, but just voluntary to do something that would allow Bryan to keep the championship. I'll put it that way.
Is that anything like how that one time Kelly defended the World Heavyweight Championship?
I, I think I remember that. Wasn't that against Ziggler or something? Wasn't that Edge's feud with Ziggler, or when was that?
Yes.
Wow. So you know what? Maybe my original idea wasn't that implausible. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I
Anything's
mean, that's a
possible.
pretty obscure reference, and they've done nothing like that since, but yeah, that has happened.
Right. I mean, all I know is I could see Brie coming out and vouching for her husband and saying, Stephanie, you've made this all about him. Well, I'm just going to stand by and let my husband be tormented by the likes of you, especially while he's healing with his neck or just something like that. They confront each other, and we get something, maybe even at the Payback event, or maybe next month at Money in the Bank, or just somewhere. I don't know. But this whole thing with the championship, I hope we get a
You know what I
definitive
could see
resolution
it
at Payback.
being?
What?
Brie has to fight for her career against Tamina.
That could be, yeah.
Because to
I,
me, Tamina is like the ultimate enforcer diva for the authority to use, because she's like that big heel who's like the bully with the power moves and that kind of stuff. Or this is an even more hilarious one: Brie versus Nikki.
oh, wow.
Because like I'm literally like going full Russo here, but if Steph really wants to force somebody to lose, whether it's Bryan or Brie, she could say Brie versus Nikki. If Brie wins, Bryan keeps the title, Nikki gets fired. If Nikki wins, Bryan loses the title and Brie gets fired.
Yeah, that. You know what? I mean, it is in line with the authorities' evil tactics of just breaking people down internally and just causing that struggle. So I could actually see them doing that. I think the Bellas have said for quite some time that they've wanted to do a program with each other. That would be a great platform to do it. I think it's either going to be, again, something involving Brie and Stephanie so Stephanie can finally get what's coming to her at the hands of a diva, or it's just going to be pitting Brie against some kind of odds that she volunteered for the sake of her husband's championship reign. So
Man, I feel like I'm using all of my good 30-second hot seat subjects tonight, but I do want to throw it out there. Who do you think is going to be the new Raw GM?
I don't even think there's going to be a new Raw GM, to be honest. I think they're going to retire the concept because
Do you
there's
know
the
who would be
authority.
perfect?
Who do you think would be perfect?
Freaking Heyman.
Heyman would be amazing. Heyman, Regal, anybody like that, I would really get behind.
Coulter.
Coulter, oh, Coulter would be interesting, yeah. But I just think that with the authority angle and with Triple H and Stephanie having a consistent TV presence, it leaves the power of a GM kind of like a moot point. So I don't think we're going to get a new GM, at least not now anyway. I'm not going to say ever,
Oh God, I
but
just thought of something. Kane.
oh man, that it would keep consistent with the authorities,
Yeah, and dude, he
vice
kind
grip.
of basically was the GM during his time as director of operations.
Right, right.
He was like the matchmaker at that point, so he might as well have been the acting GM.
So I'll say this: it's either going to be that you're right and it's Kane, or we're just not going to see a GM for as long as the authority is going to be a relevant fixture in WWE programming. So,
So ever?
Well, it's got to dissolve sometime. People have got to go about their business.
Dude,
But
saying that is like saying in 1998 that we're never going to get something until Vince McMahon stops being on TV. We would have had to wait like almost a decade for that to happen.
that's right. Damn. Fine. Ever.
All right.
That laugh.